Hello and welcome to Thursday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where today we've got another debut on the channel, this time for FinnishGuy, on a puzzle called Palindromaze. Palindromaze. Yeah, Palindromaze, because these grey lines in the grid are all palindromes. Now, the testing reports from this one are that this is one of the great sudokus of all time, frankly, although apparently it is difficult. So I'm really looking forward to giving it a go, but with the slight fear that I sometimes get when I know I might not finish it. So I'll read you the rules, which seem to be fairly standard, in just a moment. A few things to mention first. Tonight, Mark and I are going to be embarking on our quest with the game Return of the Obra Dinn. So we'd love to have your company. 10 o'clock UK time, the live stream commences. I'll try and remember to put a link to the video or the live stream right there, right now. What else? We've also got... Oh, my phone's buzzing. I'll ignore that. What else have we got? Well, we've got Patreon. There's loads of stuff going on Patreon at the moment. The most sort of relevant thing, I think, is this sequence of Japanese sum Sudoku puzzles, which are a teaser for our November monthly reward, which is just 3 days away now. So we're releasing a 45 puzzle Sudoku pack from Panthera and the Asylum on the 1st of November, and you can play some of these puzzles right now for free. So go and have a go. The comments have been great, and I've been asked to remember that this puzzle I've been saying is 16 by 16. Of course it's not. It's another example of appalling Anthony scanning. It's 12 by 12. And apparently it's quite tricky as well. I've not had a go at it yet, but I am intending to at some point. It's not an alarm clock dedicated to me, which is rather kind. What else? Oh, speaking of things that are rather kind, we had a very cool email containing a poem called The Maven from Amos Wittenberg. Amos often comments on our videos, and I enjoy his comments because they are witty and always kind. So a very good role model in terms of comments. And Mark has suggested I might read the poem out at the end of this video, well, if I solve the puzzle. So that's what I intend to do. Now, all that said and done, let's get on with Palindromaze. Palindromaze, yeah, that's how it should be done, by FinnishGuy, and I'll read you the rules. We have got normal Sudoku rules apply. In cages, digits must sum to the small clue in the top left corner of the cage. I was looking for something saying digits didn't repeat in a cage, but in fact I'm now noticing there are only 3 cages, and they're all entirely within their boxes, so we don't need a rule that says that these 2 digits can't be the same, because they obviously can't be the same. That won't work. What else? Grey lines in the grid are palindromes, which must read the same forwards and backwards. So let's look at this palindrome. So if these numbers here were 1, 2, 3, 4 like this, then we would already know exactly what these 4 digits were, because we have to make sure that when we read the palindrome in this direction, it reads the same as starting from this direction. So this would have to be 1, 2, 3, 4 again. And now you can see if we go this way, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. If we go this way, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exactly the same. So that is how palindromes work. Better get rid of those digits. The clue outside the grid gives the sum of the digits along the indicated diagonal. So there's only one clue outside the grid. These 4 digits sum up to 31. Digits can repeat along the diagonal if allowed by other rules. Well, that's interesting. We could have deduced that they must be a possible repeat along this diagonal anyway, because of course if these were 4 different digits, they would only add up to 30. 6 plus 7 plus 8 plus 9 is only 30. So we can repeat digits along this diagonal, although obviously those 2 digits can't repeat, because if we try and do that, that will break box 7. Now, what else? We've got cells separated by a white dot must contain consecutive digits. So dominoes like this, you've got to make sure if this square is a 4, this square would have to be a 5 or a 3 to make sure that the domino overall contains consecutive digits. Cells separated by a black dot must be in a 1:2 ratio. We've only got 1 black dot, I think, and that basically means that one of these cells must contain a digit that's double the other cell. So if this was, I don't know, a 4, that could be an 8 or a 2, something like that. That would be how black dots work. Not all possible dots are given, so we try and include this where it's relevant, because that means, for example, it's absolutely possible for this domino here to contain consecutive digits. There doesn't have to be a white dot between consecutive digits, it's just that we know in these specific dominoes these cells definitely do contain consecutive digits. And finally, cells with a grey circle contain an odd digit. So those 2 cells there are odd. And that's all of the rules. So there are a lot of rules to this puzzle, but they are all very standard. So hopefully you'll all have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. And now I get to play. Let's get cracking. And I am tempted to start... Well, I'm tempted by 2 things. Firstly, there is a ginormous palindrome going virtually all round the grid here, so I'm tempted to colour things in on that, obviously. I'm also a little bit interested in the 31 diagonal, because 31 is quite large, and I've already said that because this must contain a repeated digit, or even 2 repeat... No, it can't have 2 repeated digits because it's odd. If we had 2 repeated digits, we could express this total as 2x plus 2y, and that was going to give rise to an even total. So there is exactly 1 repeated digit on this diagonal. Now, where is it? That's the question. These 2 are on the palindrome. I'm actually tempted, therefore, to colour this diagonal just to see where things end up. Let's actually do that. Let's see what we can find out. So we can do that. We'll do yellow and red. Now, yellow is the 3rd cell along this massive palindrome. So the 3rd cell, so this cell must be yellow, which means that's the 4th cell. So that's the 4th cell going the other direction. So these digits are the same. These yellow digits are the same. And so purple, can that repeat? Yeah, purple can be the same as blue. Okay. But it can't obviously be the same as red or yellow, because red and yellow end up being in the purple's box. So if those 2 could be repeated digits, that's the only thing purple can repeat with is blue. Blue could repeat with red, though, I think. Yellow can't repeat with anything, so yellow is definitely not the repeated digit. Yeah, okay, that's interesting. So blue is the repeated digit, isn't it? Blue, because either we end up with blue repeating with purple, or we end up with blue repeating with red. That's the only 2 possibilities that work. Everything else is ruled out by the colouring in box 4. So that digit repeats. So this digit is going to be 2x, which means... but the thing is, we don't know. We know that yellow is not included in one of the pairs, for sure, but we don't know whether the other digit that's not the repeat is either this one or this one. So we can't even deduce which 2 cells along this diagonal sum to an odd number. Right, okay, sorry, this is, I think, nonsense. Let us try something else. Can we extend the colouring is now what I'm wondering. So yellow in box 1 is in one of 3 cells. Can it be there? That would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The 6th cell on the palindrome. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That one. Actually, maybe I should ask how long this massive palindrome is. Right, let's do that. Sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. So there is a cell for every letter of the alphabet on the enormous palindrome. Now, that means it's not got a central cell. It sort of has 2 cells in the middle. So cells number 13 and 14 will be the same digit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Those 2 cells are the same. Let's label that. So that's the middle of the palindrome. So orange has got to be in one of these 3 cells. I'm not really getting a good feeling about this either, though, to be honest. So can we rule orange out of there, which would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the 7th cell. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, we can't. Ah! Okay, let's try instead the first couple of cells on the palindrome then. So that cell and that cell are the same. That's swanning off down here. This cell, let's try and see what this cell's going to be. So 3, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, nothing is ending up anywhere useful here. Let's just try one more. We'll try those two. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so this one ends up in one of two places in box 1, but that also, I mean, it's the mildest of deductions, and we don't like mild deductions on Cracking the Cryptic. We like great big, enormous, potent deductions. Good grief, I've got no clue. Maybe we've got to try this palindrome then. Let's have a look at this one. So that one and that one are the same digit. Okay, well this one, let's use a different colour, use green. So green. Now, green can't be here. You can see in box 4, this box here, green is going to have to be in one of these 3 cells. Green can't be there, because if it's there, via the medium length palindrome, it has to go there as well, and that's going to repeat green in row 5 and box 5. So can green be there? That's the 4th cell. No! Oh, that's interesting. Right, actually, I have a deduction. Right, so green, you can't put green here. Because if you put green here, because it would be mapping to red, of course, now I've repeated green in column 4. So green goes exactly there in box 4. Okay, let's try the next cell. That one is the same as that one, so that has to appear in one of these 2 cells. This cell is 2 cells before the middle, so it's the equivalent of this cell. Right, so this is also interesting. These 2 cells can't map to here, because if they map there on the big palindrome, the big palindrome's reflection is there, and it would repeat in column 6. So now we know this cell, and this cell are the same as well. I'm running out of colours a bit here. I'll use grey for that one. I can still see the grey, the other side of the palindrome. So let's try the next digit along this. Isn't it amazing that it's this palindrome that gives us the sort of the benefits, not the enormous palindrome? So this one is the same as that one. Yeah, I don't actually like that very much, because they are not pointing anywhere useful at all. Ooh, no, hang on, let's try the next. So the central 2 of the medium length palindrome are these 2. They go down here. So if it's there, it would get reflected here, which is possible, I think. If it's here, it gets reflected there. That doesn't work. So these 2 have to go here or here. I'm rapidly coming to the conclusion I am not approaching this properly. Because even with the good things that we've found with the greens and greys, I'm not getting anything actually done, and everything else is just not working. Maybe there's something about the black dot here. So let's just check this cell. This cell is repeating there. That's not on a white dot even. Oh no, no. Yellow. There's probably something we can find with one of these reflections, or I'm just wondering now about yellow in box 6, But yellow can reflect up there. There's no problem with that. Yellow here would reflect here. There's no problem with that. This is very tricky indeed. And the other thing I'm just noticing now is I've done absolutely diddly squat with the long palindrome. I mean, I've marked a couple of cells as reflecting on it, but they've actually not been useful at all. So what's this palindrome doing apart from just decorating the grid? It's telling us that every palindrome cell in this puzzle is on the same coloured bishop, isn't it? In chess. Yeah, that's actually a little bit interesting. If you consider how... Yeah, it is. That's true. Everything is on the same coloured chess bishop. Is that important? Everything is... Why is that the case? This isn't some set thing, is it? It's not going to be... How do we... I'm just wondering if I can construct the length of this palindrome. Actually, that is quite an interesting thought. Can you put... If I can put those digits in different coloured sets in the puzzle... 1, 2, 3, 4... Sorry, 1, 2, that's 4 cells, 3 moves by a bishop, 1 move by a bishop, 1, 2, 3, well, so 3, again, 3 moves. There's always an odd number of moves. You always have to move in this puzzle an odd number of cells to get from equivalent cells on the palindrome. So for example, to go from this cell to its equivalent here, you have to go 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, and it's always an odd number. Is that meant to tell me something? I'm sort of wondering, if we checkerboard the grid, are we going to end up with... I think I'm going to need a new grid though to even look at this. Let me just create a new grid. Let's create a new grid and see if we can find something else. So this is the grid we've got at the moment. So we need to get rid of everything in this. And I'll go back to this if this doesn't work. But what I'm planning to do, at least, is to try and checkerboard the grid. I think that's the first thing I want to do. So how am I going to do that in a way that's going to, in any way... So if I take alternate columns... Now what I want to do... I want to end up with the cells that are between is this going to work, or am I getting confused? No, it is going to work, isn't it? Yeah, no, that might work. Okay, so what I want to try and do is to construct sets where I'm left with this cell and this cell coloured in. And hopefully in different colours. And you can see I can do this actually. I can do this. Yeah, I can do this. I can just, if I highlight those, highlight the equivalent rows to what I've just done, and I'll explain this if I can see it looks interesting. Now, this could be beautiful. Right, let me take a step back. This is definitely interesting. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but I still think it's interesting. So the blue cells I've just highlighted. What on earth am I doing? If you're new to cracking the cryptic, you might not even be aware of this, but and there's no shame in that, because this has taken me years to get my head round. This blue column of the grid, I don't know the order of the digits in this column, but it's definitely going to contain the digits 1 to 9 in some order. So these 5 blue columns I've highlighted, we can define exactly as 5 sets of the digits 1 to 9. Now, if I now highlight a different 5 sets of the digits 1 to 9, i.e. 5 rows of the Sudoku, in orange, we can say at this point that the orange set of digits and the blue set of digits are identical. We don't know the disposition of the digits within these sets, but we do know that all of the orange cells are 5 sets of the digits 1 to 9, and all of the blue sets are 5 sets of the digits 1 to 9. Now let's imagine that cell in the top left-hand corner of the grid was a 3, and that's 3 in the corner. So I'm not going to sing the song, my voice isn't up to it at the moment, but anyway, let's imagine this square was a 3. You can see the 3 has got 2 colours in its cell. It's in the blue set and it's in the orange set. So if I was to remove this, whatever the contents are of this cell, we've guessed it's a 3, but if I remove the contents of this cell from both sets, both the orange set and the blue set, it doesn't change the conclusion that the remaining cells in blue and the remaining cells in orange must be the same, because I've removed the same digit from both sets, and they're the same at the moment, so if I take the same thing out of both sets, they're still the same. So that's what I plan to do. Every cell in this grid now that has 2 colours in it, I'm going to take it out of the blue sack and I'm going to take it out of the orange sack. And if I do that, it looks to me, at first blush, like I have an interesting pattern. So if I remove all of those, it's still true to say that the orange cells that are remaining and the blue cells that are remaining contain the same digits. Now look, that digit is blue, and that digit, which I know is the same because it's at the other end of the palindrome, is a different colour. So I can cancel these 2 cells out. I can remove this cell from blue and orange. And it's still true to say now that the blue and orange are the same. Now I can go to the next cell. Oh, this is... How much is going to cancel here? It's going to be almost everything. Maybe the odd cells. Maybe those cells as well. This is absolutely ridiculous. Right, but I'm going to do this slowly because it deserves to be done slowly. Look, this cell and this cell are the same. They're in different colours. I'm going to cancel them. This cell and this cell are the same. They're different colours. I can cancel them. And this is just going to continue, isn't it? Every cell on the palindrome, on the big palindrome, just gets cancelled. Yeah. It's obviously going to work for all the cells on the big palindrome. Yep, that's still working. That's the middle of the palindrome. So the big palindrome has totally cancelled out. Now those 2 are the same digit. They're in different colours. I can cancel them out. And the same is true of the little one. These 2 are different colours. We know they're the same digit. I'm cancelling them. Boom. 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 That is just brilliant. FinnishGuy, that is just brilliant. So we now know that what we're left with, who would have thought? Who would have thought? If somebody had told you that the geometry of this grid allows you to conclude at the beginning that those 2 cells are the same as these 2 cells, you would have exclaimed mightily that you're jocking my straps or something, because that is just not... That's just ridiculous. So these 2 digits, whatever's in these 2 cells is the same as whatever's in those 2 cells, but that digit can't be the same as that digit because they're in box 3 already. So that digit, which must appear in blue, must be the same as that digit. So that's weird. So although they're different colours, those two cells, those are actually the same digit. So so I should go back to my other grid now. So let's just remember this. So these two are the same, and these two are the same. So let's come back here. So what we've learned is that cell and that cell are the same digit. And this cell and this cell are the same digit. I'm just going to double check that's right. Yeah, that was right. I was checking it was the second one on the 31 diagonal. So these are both odd now. So these two digits are adding up to an odd number. Okay. So maybe I should know what this means. I don't understand. These two are odd. So does that mean we can remove... Surely you can't put 3 in. No, you can't put 3 into either of these digits because you can't make the other 3 cells add up to 28. So these squares are 5s, 7s or 9s. And... oh. I know! Right. Yeah, okay. Well, right at the start of the puzzle, I said one of these 4 cells repeated, and that's true because it's on the 31 diagonal. Now, the only option, we know that this was the repeated digit, but we didn't know whether it repeated with that cell, which it doesn't now. These two can't be the same because they're the same as those two digits, and these two digits are in the same box. Those do not repeat. That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. So now I know this cell must repeat with blue. Let's just double check that's right. So I need one of these to be a repeated digit. That can't repeat with that because obviously it's in the same box. This can't repeat. Well, it could have repeated with blue, except we've now learned that they're the same, or they're in the same box. So this can't repeat with anything either. So this has to repeat with this. There's no other option. Yellow can't repeat with anything because yellow sees red, purple and blue. Yeah, that's good. That's good logic. So this square here is a 5, 7 or a 9, depending on what that one is. So this one becomes blue. That's the thing we should have picked up on immediately. So that becomes blue, and we lose the redness of the grid. That becomes a 5, 7 or a 9. These 3 squares are now adding up to an odd number because they are 3 odd numbers, so that square is even. Now, what's the... just wondering, can that even be... no, that can't be 4 because that would give us 3 9s here. And that would give us 3... yeah, and this can't be the same as this. We've already looked at that ad nauseum. So this square is a 6 or an 8. And that square is a 6 or an 8. That's in a 10 cage, so that square's a 2 or a 4. Wow, okay. So, well, can the repeated digit be a 5? Surely not. No, because I can't make those squares add up to 21. So the repeated digit is 7 or 9. If it's 7, 14, these would have to add up to 17. That's possible. 9 and 8. Okay, what about double 9? Then these would have to add up to 13, 6 and 7, 8 and 5. Oh dear, okay. That square's not 5. So that square's now a 7 or a 9. That square's a 5, 7 or a 9. Good grief. This is one of the most interesting puzzles I've ever seen in my life. And I've not got a digit after half an hour. Come on. Right, what does this mean? What does this mean? What about blue in this box now? Because it can't go in that column. So blue Blue is in one of those two squares, both of which are interesting actually. If it was in that square, it couldn't be 7 because you couldn't double 7 the 14 cage. If it's in this square, it's repeating on the palindrome 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the 7th position. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, that's perfect. Right, this is where we look next. These two squares have to appear in one of those 3 squares. Not that one by sudoku. Not this one by palindrome, because that gets reflected on the palindrome up here. So these two squares are the same. I'm just going to double check that. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, they are the same. And that would repeat that digit in column 2. So this blue digit is here. And if the blue digit is here, it can't be 7 anymore because it's in a 14 cage and you can't double 7 the 14 cage. That's going to break the rules of sudoku. So it must be 9. That's not 9 anymore. That means that's not 9 anymore. These are 9s. That's a 9. This is a 5. Oh, that's a 7. So purple is 7 now. Now we must be able to get yellow. That's a 9. What have we got? We've got double 9. We needed 13, didn't we? So that's a 6. That's a 6. That's a 4. And I now have digits. I have got digits now. Wow. Wow. This 5 is on the palindrome. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's that one. I could have worked that out, couldn't I? Because I've been looking at that square and mapping it to that one. So I've got to pay more attention to the palindromes. Okay. What does this mean? What does this mean? 9 in this box is restricted now. It's got that is interesting. 9 in this box is on the white Kropki dot, so it must have an 8 with it. And that square is the green. Oh, this is beautiful. Right now, green, green, green. We know that these greens are 8 or 9 now. Because there's a 9 in this domino, there must be an 8 because they have to be consecutive. Now, this square can't be 9, so this must be a sequence of 8s. That must be a 9. This, yeah, okay. Now the 10 cage is forced because it can't be 4, 6, 2, 8 or 1, 9. So that's 3, 7. There's a 7 here. So that's 7. That's 3. 7 must be purple. 9 is blue. 3 is on a white Kropki dot, so that's got to be a 2 or a 4. Probably this row now is restricted. Yes, oh yes, it is. Look, I've got 1, 2 and 5 to place in row 5, but one of them is a consecutive domino, so it must be the 1, 2 that's on the consecutive domino. This is a 5. 5 gets placed in box 7. Oh, come on. Come on, this is ridiculous. Now 5 is in one of those 3 squares, all of which are involved in Kropki dots. Can that be a 6? No. Right, here's something interesting. That can't be a 5, because that would require this to be a 4, 6 because of the white Kropki dot, and it can be neither. So that's not 5. 5 is on here, so this is 4, 5 or 6. Are the only options, which means that square which is on a palindrome is a 4, 5 or a 6. Unfortunately, all things look possible. Now this is a 1 or a 2, and that's grey, so that grey all become the same digit. Those 2 squares are 1, 2 or 3 to complete box 4. There's 3 in one of those squares, so there's a 3 up here. Okay. So what do we do now? What do we do now with this remarkable puzzle? We shall look at... Oh, I've got a 1, 2, 3 triple here. Oh, and 9s. Where do 9s go in box 5? Only there. By sudoku, of all things. Fancy having to do sudoku in a sudoku puzzle. It's outrageous. So 9 in this box is in one of 2 places, one of which would be interesting. 9 on a white Kropki dot would be like that one. You'd get the 8 as well. Okay, well, let's go back to row 6 though, because we've now learned the approximate positions of 6 digits, the 1, 2, 3, the 7, 8, 9. So those squares are 4, 5 and 6. That's interesting. You can never put 5 on a black Kropki dot because you can never put 2.5 or 10 into the other cell. So there's definitely a 5 in this domino. 5, 5. 5 is in one of these two positions. It's not orange, because that would put a 5 there and it would clash. So that's a 5. That's the third digit on the medium length palindrome. So that's a 5. So this is a 5 now. In box 5, it's the only place it can go. That is on a palindrome. That goes through there. So that gets fixed. How many 5s? I feel like we've done an awful lot of 5s. Yeah, we can do all of them, in fact. There's the last 5 in the grid, up in the top right-hand corner. So this square, that square's a 4 or a 6 by dint of white Kropki dot. So those two squares have got to be a 3, 7 pair. That means nothing. Although that's on a palindrome. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I see. So it's 1, 2, 3. It's that one. 3, 7 goes here. 3, 7 pair in column 6. Now there's all sorts going on. Right. Okay, so now 9s have got to be in one of those two cells. What else can we do? We've got this black Kropki dot down to 4 or 6. So this cell is either 2, 8 if this is a 4, or 3 if this is a 6. 2, 3 or 8. Bobbins. Right, that's no use, is it? That's disappointing. Okay. This square has to be 1, 2, 4 or 6. And that means that square has to be 1, 2, 4 or 6. And that all looks possible, which is very frustrating. Okay. Right, sorry about this. I'm now absolutely stuck by the looks of things. I can see 6 has to go in one of those 3 cells in box 1. What cell is this the equivalent of? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that square can't be a 3 or a 7 or a 5 or a 9, but most of those were ruled out anyway. This is the tricky thing about a puzzle like this, is that it's very difficult to know where to look next. I'm not at all sure. Maybe I can do something with this column, can I? This digit, perhaps? That is 1, 2, that's 3 digits before the middle. So it's the same as that digit. So those 2 digits are the same. I'll give those a colour. Now, are they restricted at all in any way that's useful? The answer to that might be no. I was hoping we'd get something from that, I have to say. I can't see that it's very useful at all. Let's pencil mark it then. So we've got 1, 2, 4, 6 or 8. That's not useful, is it? 1, 2, 4, 6 or 8. I don't even want to pencil mark it. I'll pencil mark it just because I did the work to work it out, but I can't see that I can eliminate anything from that square, which is incredibly annoying. So, where do we look now then? It's going to have to be, I don't know, there's a 7 down there. This is really confusing because I sort of feel like we've broken the back of it with the work we've done so far. But it's not really yielding at all, is it? Okay, so come on, Simon. There must be something that you can spot here that's going to be at least interesting, possibly very interesting. What about... I don't know. What about this column then? Can we get a restriction on the white crop key dot here? I don't think we can. It doesn't look very appetizing, I have to say. Well, what about the palindrome then? The palindrome... so the cell closer to the... Ah, yeah, this is a 4 or a 6, is it? Yes, okay, sorry, I should have appreciated that. Oh, and the 3. Hang on, I've not done the 3, have I, on the palindrome? This is what we've missed, or I've missed. That's got to be a 3. And that's got to be a 4 or a 6. Oh, good grief. Does it do anything? I don't know. That square's there got to be a 2 or a 4. So now... No! You rotten thing! Oh, that felt like a... Ah, bother. 3, 7, 2, 4. 8's got to be in one of those cells at the bottom of the column because 8 can't be up there. Can that be an 8? That is a good question. So that's 2 cells after the 9. Yes, is the answer. It can be. So 8... Oh, 8 is in one of those 3 cells. Well, that's not surprising because we were hypothesizing that that could be an 8-9 domino, weren't we? Ah, there's a little point there. That can't be 8 because... Ah, that's quite interesting for this cell. Yeah, so this can't be 8 because if it is, look where the 9 now has to go in this run of digits. It's got to go on the white crop key dot, which would put 8 next to it. But we've just put 8 here, not on the crop key dot. So that square is not 8. So now there is an 8 on the white crop key dot, so it's either 8, 9 or 7, 8, which means this square cannot be 1, 2, 4 or 6. Yes, so this is forced to be 8. That's ridiculously clever. So that's forced to be 8. That's now not 8. So this is 2 or... Ah, bother. Both options are still okay for the black crop key dot, I think. Oh, but didn't that reflect up there when I just did that 2 minutes ago? It did, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It did. So that 8 can't go there anymore because it would clash in row 2. So that's not 8. This is 8. That gets reddened. Oh no, hang on. I've just noticed red should be green. I've already done this. Earlier on in the puzzle, we established that 8s were green. So now 8 goes there by sudoku. Oh, come on. 8's in one of 2 places in box thingy thing. This square here is consecutive with 8 and it's not 7, so that is the 9 now. That's not 9. That means that's 9. That's not 9. 9 did get its own colour, which was blue. 8. 8's in one of 2 places in box box 7 down here. So now, what have we learnt that we didn't know before? We've got this square as being 1, 2, 4 or 6. But that square doesn't seem to be... Oh, I suppose in this column the 6 is certainly in one of those 2 cells. So these squares are 1, 2s or 4s. 6 is in one of 2 places, therefore, in this column. So it can't be here. Still haven't done anything with the first cell on the palindrome, which is the equivalent of that square. So column 4 is telling us this square can't be... Well, this square can only be 1, 2, 3 or 7. It can't be 7 because of this 7. So these 2 squares are 1s, 2s or 3s. So this square is a 1, 2 or a 3 as well because it can't be a 4. Ah, now that's beautiful. Now I've got a 1, 2, 3 triple in column 3. That is beautiful, because now where do I put 7 and 8 in this column? That can't be 7, so that must be 8, and the 7 must be at the bottom, which fixes the 8 here. Good grief. Now 8s we know are green, 7s we know are purple. This square here is the second cell. Ah, that's beautiful. And now I've got a 1, 2, 3 triple in box 7, so that's got to be the 4 to complete this box. That means there's a 4 in one of 3 places here. Now we definitely need to check these. So can that be a 4? That's the equivalent of that square. Maybe, yes. What about that one then? That's just before the 5. So the 4 would... Oh, bother. Bother, yeah, sorry. I don't think we know anything about the 4s there. We probably do, I just can't see what it is. So, do we colour these 1s, 2s and 3s? That one's got to be the same. Yeah, hang on, that's interesting, isn't it? This square here can't be those 2 colours, so it must be this colour. So those 2 are the same. Grey. Okay, and that's consecutive with this one, which is the same as this one. I'm just wondering if there's a way we can... What I want to do is to determine what this one and this grey 1 and 2 are in relation to these 2 squares. That really would be very interesting. Is there a quick way we can do that? Well, that one's the 3rd colour, isn't it? So we need to award that 3rd colour status. I think I'm going to get rid of the oranges now, because the oranges was only useful for sort of diagnosing the middle. I will remember these are the same, he says, famous last words. But this square is orange. That's the 2nd cell on the palindrome, isn't it? So I do now know that that's that square. And if that's that square must be grey by elimination. Because if orange goes here, orange is clearly not grey or red. Orange goes there. Red we knew goes there by sudoku, so that is grey. So that's not 3. And that's the 1st cell on the palindrome, so that's grey. This is really clever. It's amazing, actually, because this puzzle it's insanely clever in terms of the break-in, but it's still clever now. It's really doing work. That square's grey. That's a 1 or a 2. Now one of these 2 squares is grey. Please don't let it be this one. That is just before the 5. Is it that 5? Or it's 3 after the 9. It's this one. That can't be grey, because it would clash with that one. So in terms of this column, the grey has to be exactly equal to that cell. So that is grey, and it's a 1 or a 2. And that means that's a grey 1 or 2. Which means that square is not 4. And now grey goes in the corner at the bottom of the grid. And that might be all the greys done. Wow. Now, can we keep this going? That's the next challenge. 3. 3 has to be in this domino. I'm just wondering about... I was actually wondering about the orange digit, because orange clearly has to be in one of these 2 cells. Yeah, this is good. This is really clever as well. So, is orange here? No, because then orange would go there and clash in column 2. So orange is exactly here in box 8. Now, I don't think we know which of those is orange, though. We do know that in this box, orange has to be in one of those. Well, in fact, therefore, in one of these 2 squares, because orange is 1, 2, or 3. So orange in box 5 is in one of those 2 squares. It's almost good enough. It's really close. But not close enough. Close but no cigar. That's infuriating. Okay, so can we do this some other way? That's the next challenge. One of these squares is a 3, isn't it? So what this colour here has to either be red or orange. Yeah, okay, I'm not sure. I'm sorry about this. I feel like there's a way we can do this. But probably I need to think harder about the palindromes somehow. Because everything, we're almost getting to the point where we've completely finished the palindromes, aren't we? Maybe this column. Yes, in fact, where does 7 go? In column 4? That's a very good question. It goes exactly there. Which means that top square is red, and that's come out of the blue, so that might be useful. Can that really be red? That's 2 after the... Ah, bother, it can! You rotten thing. Yeah, okay, but where does orange go in row 1? It can't be here, obviously. It can't be here, so it must go in the top corner, and that's... I was hoping that would be better, but it's... At least it's interesting. Sorry, I need to orange that and make it 1, 2, or 3. So this little square here is now 4 or 6, and it can't be 6. So that's 6. That's 4. In this column now, where do we put the 7? Only in that cell. And this is a red one, well, it's a 6 and then a red in one of those 2 positions. 6 is yellow, isn't it? So we can give it, we can award that one a colour. 6 is in one of those 2 cells in box 8. Wow, okay. And this square at the bottom of the grid now must be a 1, 2, or a 4. And that reflects on the palindrome to this, so that, this square is not 4. That's huge, isn't it? Isn't that huge? Isn't that going to be very useful? It is. Yes, it is beautiful. Again, it's beautiful. This square here is the same as this square, which cannot be 4. So that has to be a 1 or a 2 now, because from this column it can only be 1, 2, or 4. But once it's 1 or 2, it's not 6. So that becomes the 6. That gets yellowed. Remove the 6 pencil mark. Place the 6 in box 3. Get rid of the 6 from that cell. Get rid of the 6 from that cell. And more important than any of this, I think, is going to be the fact this is now red. Because it's the only place red can go in the box. Red is now 1 or a 2, so we can remove 3 from... so we can remove... Yes, now look, now we know orange is 3. I don't believe it. Orange is 3. Now, that means that becomes orange. That becomes orange. Yes, and now where does 3 go in box 9? Only exactly there, which is on the black Kropki dot. So that becomes orange, that becomes 6, that becomes yellow, that becomes... Yeah, here we go. 6 here, 4 here. 6 becomes yellow, 4 never had a colour. And that can't be 3 anymore. So this square here is a 1, 2, or 4. But surely now, surely we're getting somewhere. What about this 4, 6 here? So is that square a 4 or a 6? It appears so. Okay, sorry. I thought that might crack it, but maybe we've still got to colour a bit more. Oh, where does 3 go in this box? It can only go there. Yeah, which we could have got once we got the 7. Apologies, you've probably been shouting at me about that, but these things happen. And I'm getting excited at the logic I'm actually seeing rather than the logic I'm not seeing. So now we've got 1s, 2s, and 4s along there. 3s, that's become a 7, which is purple. I've got to put a purple in exactly this square, I think. Yeah, this is nice. Where does purple go? in box 8 exactly here, which means this square is, oh no. Why didn't I put 7 as a possibility in this square? Oh, I think I just misscanned this. Oh, that's fine, because I didn't misscan it here. I could have got this 4 and put the 6 in. So it's just another opportunity for shouting. But that's fine. That's a 7. That's now a 6. Okay, and 6 is a yellow. This is a 1 or a 2 that's not that colour, so that must be red, which we already knew actually. I just forgot to do it. And that must be 4. And this must be red. And red is in one of those two positions. What's this square on the palindrome? Is that just a 4 by virtue of palindrome? Yes, it is. That's a 4. So that's a 4, which means that's not a 4, which means this is a 4. That's on the palindrome. That's the middle cell of the palindrome, isn't it? Well, the shared middle with that one. So there we go. We're going to get left with lots of 1s and 2s, which is a bit worrying. 6 must go here. Oh, please don't let me have a deadly pattern of 1s and 2s. Oh no, that's a 4. No. That's it. This square here is the disambiguator, because that has to now be red. It's the only place red can go in this box, and the 4 tells us that red is now 2. Oh, I don't believe it. Oh, that's red as well. Let's actually make sure we're going to get all the reds. That's going to have to be red. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 2. So all of the greys become 1s, and that is how to solve one of the greatest Sudoku puzzles we've ever had the privilege to showcase on the channel. Wow. Wow. Okay. Now, there were a few rickets towards the end where I was trying to, where my scanning was letting me down, or I was looking at different bits of the grid. I think that last bit could have been done more efficiently, like this 4 here. I could have just done that digit, etc. But the stuff before that in this puzzle is quite extraordinary. I mean, seriously, it's quite extraordinary. The logic around the palindromes and the bishops is it's just stunning. It's such a stunning idea, FinnishGuy. It really is. That you can show, and we could have showed this immediately. Obviously, I didn't notice it immediately. Those 2 squares there are the same as those 2 squares. It's just ridiculous. And the use of this 31 and the way it sort of unfolded itself using these digits, and the fact you could work out those were the same, and eventually that led to this 14 cage down here. This has been put together with so much care. It's just wondrous. It's a wonderful puzzle. Oh my goodness me. Wow. Let me know how you got on in the comments. I am, it's very often actually when we do a video, I'm really anxious to read the comments to see how people have got on, but this is a case that is particularly like that. And I'll now read The Maven by Amos Wittenberg to celebrate. Thanks so much for watching. Back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic. The Maven by Amos Wittenberg. Not so long ago in lockdown, I lived lonely in a ghost town and considered, binge or no binge, that's the question for tonight. While I sat there, not an inkling, suddenly my screen went blinking and the YouTube tab was tinkling. This you've never seen before. Just some clickbait, I dismissed it. Algorithm, just ignore. This is one I fall not for. In my darkened lamplit bedroom, in my mind, a dragonhead tomb. Just one mouse click and I fled doom, entering the channel's door, and while watching Maven's logic, barely noticed my old clock tick, when my screen became a joss stick I'd been waiting for. Truly balm applied to bruises, crack of dawn worth waiting for. Puzzles, friendship, and much more.